So in 2015, some genius at Warner Bros. Looked at a pile of money, and it turned into the shape of Skylanders. And he thought to himself, what if we did that, but with Lego, and also Doctor Who, and also Sonic, and also the A-Team? A-Team? And it worked. For about 2 years, it actually worked. You're telling me I can put Gandalf and the Ghostbusters on the same little plastic pad and they just exist together in a video game that my mom bought me? That's LEGO Dimensions. 30 plus franchises, real Lego bricks, a villain voiced by Gary Oldman. Genuinely one of the most insane crossover products ever made. But not as crazy as Paula Deen's butter favorite chapstick. Everybody loves that. However, just 2 years later, it all stopped. One tweet, and it was over. Quick rewind though, because you need the context for why this whole genre even existed. 2011, Activision dropped Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. You put a little plastic guy on a portal, he shows up in the game, that's it. That's the whole pitch. I have a video on that. By 2013, that's it. Pitch had turned into a $3 billion franchise. $3 billion. For toys that sit on a circle. So naturally, every publisher on Earth immediately had the same thought, which was,
I would also like $3 billion, please.
Disney Infinity launched in 2013. I have a video on that too. Nintendo did Amiibo, and Warner Bros. Sat there looking at their vault of like every cool franchise that ever existed and said,
Okay, it's our turn. Hold my beer.
September 27th, 2015, starter pack, $99.99, which already immediately is more expensive than the competition, but stick with me. Inside the box, actual Lego bricks. Not a plastic statue, not a figurine, real bricks with an instruction booklet that you build into a portal. You build a Batmobile. You build a gateway art thing. It's a Lego set that happens to be also a video game peripheral, which is just a vile thing to put in a box. Classic TT game stuff. Stud collecting, puzzle solving, that signature humor.
Whoa, I have a boyfriend, and it is super serious, right, babe?
Of course it's serious.
Yeah.
Got room for just one dude?
Whoa!
But here's the part that actually makes this game smart, and most people forget this. The portal wasn't just a key. It was a mechanic. Certain puzzles require you to physically rearrange the figures on the pad, line them up, form a triangle, whatever to trigger something in-game. The toy was doing something. That's more than Skylanders ever pulled off, and it's more than Disney Infinity ever pulled off. Critics agreed. Reviews called it the best entry in the entire Toys to Life genre. Best reviewed, best mechanics, best crossover concept anyone had ever attempted. So obviously, this thing was going to print money forever, right? Right? Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Lego bricks are expensive to make, like structurally, mechanically expensive. They're manufactured to insanely tight tolerances. That's literally why they click together so satisfyingly, and why stepping on one at 3 AM ends a marriage. But when you're making bricks specific to one expansion pack, small unique pieces, custom molds, limited runs, the cost per unit goes way up. And you can't reuse those molds for anything else once that pack stops selling. Eurogamer, who broke this story, reported that every single Dimensions pack was sold with basically zero profit margin. Zero. They were priced exactly at the edge of competitive with cheaper Toys to Life rivals, which sounds fine until you remember what happens at retail. Stores discount things, that's just what stores do. The second a pack got marked down even slightly, that already non-existent margin went negative. Warner Bros. And Lego were straight up losing monies on units that didn't sell at full price. Every single one. And get this, if you wanted everything from year one, every level, every world, every secret, you were looking at around $785. $785 for year one of a kid's game about Legos. Hey, I just want to take a quick second from you guys to say, like, I'm not even joking, 99% of you guys are not subscribed to me. Please subscribe, like, or comment so I can keep making these type of videos. I need to pay my bills, man. Nobody expected parents to actually spend that, but the way the content was locked meant that there was always one more thing just out of reach. A level you couldn't access because you didn't have the Goonies pack, a world locked behind Beetlejuice. And yes, Beetlejuice in a kid's Lego game in 2017. We'll come back to that. But that's not the weirdest part of year 2. Year 2 launches September 2016. And to be fair, they tried to fix things. Smaller packs, more variety, 16 new franchises across the year, in a brand new format called story packs, basically mini campaigns built around that year's big Warner Bros. Movie releases. Good idea on paper. Use the movie's momentum to drive the game's momentum. Classic synergy, the kind of thing that looks great in a boardroom slide. The first story pack of year 2. I want you to listen in on this. Put everything aside. The first story pack of year 2 was based on the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot. Now, I'm not here to relegate that movie. You could have chosen a better movie, bro. Come on. What I will say is that it walked into one of the most toxic online discourse storms of the decade before it even came out, and underperformed at the box office. So Warner Bros. Big tentpole moment to relaunch Dimension's momentum was tied to a movie that a huge chunk of the audience had already decided they didn't want to engage with. And according to Eurogamer's reporting, sales at the start of year 2 did not meet the expectations. Not collapsed instantly, but the bounce they were expecting or they were counting on never really showed up. The pack itself was actually well reviewed. 6 full levels, recreated the whole movie, genuinely solid content. Didn't matter though, the cultural tailwind they were banking on just wasn't there. And once that first domino doesn't fall the way you planned, the whole year 2 roadmap is suddenly running on a deficit, which it will probably never recover from. Here's the part where the clock of doom starts. Because remember, Dimensions launched in 2015, and 2016 is when the entire genre it belongs to just, how do I put this? Falls off a cliff. Nobody saw this coming. Or well, some people did and nobody listened. May 2016, Disney shuts down Disney Infinity. Completely. After 3 years, Disney, one of the biggest entertainment companies that has ever existed, looked at the books and took a write-down of over $147 million. They walked away. 3 years. And done. Skylanders, the OG, the one that started the entire genre back in 2011, released Superchargers that same years and posted its worst numbers ever. And guess what? They went quiet indefinitely. So picture where Dimensions is sitting. It launched into a market worth billions. 1 year later, 2 of its biggest competitors are either dead or on life support. Kids are migrating to mobile and Minecraft. Parents who already sunk money to Skylander figures and Infinity playsets are looking at yet another shelf of $15 packs and going, yeah, absolutely not. The 3-year plan Dimensions was built on assumed a market that by the start of year 2 basically didn't exist anymore. The clock was already running out, they just didn't know how fast yet. So here's the moment that fans actually picked up on before any official word came out. And I love this because it's such a quiet and specific detail. March of 2017, Nintendo Switch launches. And TT Games, the studio behind Dimensions, starts porting basically everything they've got to it. Lego Worlds gets a Switch version. The Ninjago movie gets a Switch version. Even Skylanders, Imaginators, a game that was also struggling, got a Switch port at launch. Lego Dimensions got nothing. Forums picked up on that immediately. People were saying out loud in real time, if every other Lego game and even a competing Toys to Life game is getting ported and Dimensions isn't, that means something. And they were right. Porting a Toys to Life game to a brand new platform is a massive engineering lift, new hardware, new portable compatibility, the works. And according to Eurogamer sources, TT Games had already started shifting resources away from Dimensions toward other projects, specifically the Ninjago movie game and Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2. Well, there went the 3-year roadmap. The studio that was supposed to build year 3 was already being reassigned, so October 18th, 2017, Eurogamer publishes a report before any official statement from Warner Bros. Confirming what everyone had been suspecting for months. Lego Dimensions was over. A full year ahead of the original 3-year plan, it was donezo. Well, I have mentioned the 3-year plans multiple times, but what was supposed to be year 3? Based on the leftover code and licensing chatter, a Lego Minecraft expansion, a Flash pack, more Doctor Who content, and likely some kind of final story chapter that would have given Lord Vortek an actual ending and unlocked the full multiverse. Absolutely none of that happened. Internally, TT Game Studio manager Dave Dootson Dave Dudson sent the team an email, and I want to read a part of this email because it's genuinely kind of sweet, honestly. He wrote that it was worth celebrating, the incredible achievement it represents in the quality of the game, the amazing blend of IPs and the challenging technical demands it presented, and that it stands as a real testament to the talent within TT. 5 days after that report, the official LEGO Dimensions Twitter account posted basically a goodbye message, something about the multiverse being nothing without the community, thanking everyone. That's it, that's the entire ending. A leaked report, an internal email, and a tweet for a game with 30 plus licensed franchises and a literal Oscar winner voicing the villain. So what really killed LEGO Dimensions? It wasn't just one thing, and that's honestly what makes it kind of tragic instead of just like a bad business story. The manufacturing costs were structurally against them from day one, because Lego is Lego, it's not some cheap plastic. The margins were already razor thin before a single pack got discounted. The year 2 comeback bet landed on a movie that the internet had already turned into a punching bag. The entire genre around them collapsed in real time, taking Disney Infinity and Skylanders down with it, and the studio that was supposed to carry it into year 3 was moving on into Nintendo Switch and other stuff. And through literally all of that, it was still, by almost every account, the best game in its genre. The best reviewed, the most creative concept, the only one that actually made the toy matter inside the gameplay. It was the best game in a dying genre. If you still got the Portal pad in a box somewhere with like 40 minifigures from the franchises that will never cross over again, Sonic, Doctor Who, Portal, Beetlejuice, genuinely insane lineup. Hold on to it, because honestly, with how much nostalgia content does right now, I would not be shocked if this thing comes back in some form eventually. Or you know, they'll just make another Star Wars one, probably that. Anyway, that's LEGO Dimensions. See you in the next one.